Good evening. It's the sunset and it's happening pretty fast. Thank you for being with me. I'm going to continue on page 122 with the perennial philosophy. In the lore of Eastern philosophy and yoga, in the writing of mystics from every great religion, and in the accounts of modern seers, there exists a coherent body of insight that often corresponds with the spiritual experiences of sports participants. The resemblance between this ancient, well-established knowledge and the stories sports people tell are sometimes dramatic and compelling. Aldous Huxley, borrowing from the philosopher Leibniz, called this ancient knowledge the perennial philosophy because it has arisen repeatedly in almost every society for the past 3,000 years, and because rudiments of it exist even in Stone Age cultures. It appears in the writings of Taoist, Hindu, Buddhist, Greek, Muslim, Jewish, and Christian mystics. And in modern times it reappears each century, surviving every period of skepticism and despair. Everywhere and always in human history, it has possessed a core, a fundamental agreement. Through the intellectual forms, the language, the ritual, practices in which it has appeared have differed. Let's look at some of its central tenets, for they help us understand the extraordinary aspects of sport we are examining. This is not a complete summary of the perennial philosophy, but it is adequate, we think, to show some of the parallels that exist between the two fields of experience. Right. Hang on just a minute. I think I would rather be mosquito food than have no air. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Okay, page 123. The fundamental reality. The central perception of the perennial philosophy is that there is a fundamental reality, Godhead, or ground of existence that transcends the ordinary world, yet exists in it. However separate in appearance they may be, the individual, the universe, and the transcendent divinity are essentially one. The spiritual reality is the source of all consciousness and can be known directly, either spontaneously as in sports, or through deliberate practices like prayer and yoga, because we are secretly joined with it already. And then here is a poem by Isha Upanishad. That moves and that moves not. That is far and the same is near. That is within all this, and that is also outside all this. And here's another one by Young Chai Tai Shi. One nature, perfect and pervading, circulates in all natures. One reality, all comprehensive, contains within itself all realities. The one moon reflects itself wherever there is a sheet of water, and all the moons and the waters are embraced within the one moon. The Dharma body, the absolute of all the Buddhas, enters into my own being, and my own being is found in union with theirs. The inner light is beyond praise and blame. Like space, it knows no boundaries. Yet it is even here, within us, ever retaining its serenity and fullness. These statements from Hindu and Buddhist teachers point to the eternal reality that is all things and transcends all things. See how they resemble the account of Charles Lindbergh from his epic flight to Paris. While I'm staring at the instruments during an unearthly age of time, both conscious and asleep, the fuselage behind me becomes filled with ghostly presences, vaguely outlined forms, transparent, moving, riding weightless with me in the plane. I feel no surprise at their coming. There's no suddenness to their appearance. Without turning my head, I see them as clearly as though in my normal field of vision. There is no limit to my sight. My skull is one great eye, seeing everywhere at once. All sense of substance leaves. There's no longer weight to my body, no longer hardness to the stick. The feeling of flesh is gone. I become independent of physical laws, of food, of shelter, of life. I'm almost one with these vapor-like forms behind me, less tangible than air, universal as ether. I'm still attached to life, they not at all. But at any moment some thin band may snap and there'll be no difference between us. ... I'm on the borderline of life and a greater realm beyond, as though caught in the field of gravitation between two planets, acted on by forces I can't control. Forces too weak to be measured by any means at my command, yet representing powers incompatibly stronger than I have ever known. ... Death no longer seems the final end it used to be, but rather the entrance to a new and free existence, which includes all space, all time. I am now more man, or am I now more man or spirit? Will I fly my aeroplane on to Europe and live in flesh, as I have before, feeling hunger, pain, and cold? Or am I about to join these ghostly forms, become a consciousness in space, all-seeing, all-knowing, unhampered by materialistic fetters of the world? My skull is one great eye, seeing everywhere at once. What a vivid image of his experience. Am I about to become a consciousness in space, all-seeing, all-knowing, unhampered by materialistic fetters of the world? A little asterisk here says, Lindbergh did not describe his experience in his first book, We, Pilot and Plane, published in 1927. Spirit of St. Louis was published in 1953, 26 years later. Like several athletes we have talked to, it took him many years to acknowledge and appreciate the mystical dimensions of his adventure. He posthumously book Autobiography of Values reveals more of his feelings and insights regarding these matters. That's cool. Lindbergh's description of his experience could almost be a paraphrase of certain religious scriptures. The apprehension of a greater realm beyond this one, the feeling of independence from his body and physical laws, and the sense that he is acted upon by powers incomparably stronger than I've ever known, arise from the same realization that pervades the perennial philosophy. Figure skater Toller Cranston described a performance where Figure skater Toller Cranston described a performance when the audience was still, watching intently, anticipating. At one point, I felt an electric shock run through the crowd. They understood